Hi, my name's Brady Hepner, and you're watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am so excited to be joined by Brady Hepner. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. We have a lot to talk about, of course, with The Black Phone and how well that film has been doing. But I wanted to start with the fact that you initially wanted to be a professional competitive athlete before you discovered your love for acting and entering these fictional worlds. So, who or what were some of your early inspirations?
Oh man, so yeah, growing up, soccer was the only thing that I had my mind set on. It was the only thing around in our family. My entire family played. My brother was one of my inspirations. Professionally, I was a big fan of Barcelona. So from attacking players like Luis Suarez or Neymar Jr., Lionel Messi, all the way to the defense with Carlos Puyo or Gerard Piqué. Just that team in general was really my big motivation.
So how did that kind of form into acting and how did you get into that part
So
of
it
the
was
arts?
honestly, it was pretty random. I think it was Christmas of about 4 or 5 years, 5 or 6 years ago. I started watching Stranger Things season one, I believe. And I've always been a performer. Halloween was one of my favorite nights where I used to dress up and go be someone who I wasn't. So sitting back and really watching them being the first kids cast I've seen, going to myself, I was like, oh, this is something that I might want to try out. This looks fun. So I looked into it with my mom. We found a studio that was offering interviews to come and try out. And then, over time, it just slowly became more progressive with my career. And so now here I am.
Was your family, like, I'm guessing your mom always very supportive of you wanting to go that route?
Absolutely. Well, at first she didn't believe me. I will say that I was like, "Hey, mom, I want to be an actor." She was
This is
like,
just a phase, she
"Yep."
said.
Okay, yeah, give it a month. So then, like 2 months later, I was like, "No, mom." I was like, "I want to give this a shot." So from there, she's like, "Oh, he's not joking." But from then on, they were super supportive. Anything that I needed, they were there for me. So I'm really appreciative for that.
And speaking about studio, you train at In Studio in North Carolina. How have they really helped you build and sharpen your skill set?
And studio has been nothing but perfect for me in my skill set. They've taught me, not only to work hard, but to do training outside of the studio. And they have just taught me that, um, along with being on camera, you need to be a student of the art. So learning different methods, whether it's Strasberg or Chekhov, Meisner method acting, they taught me so much material that I could learn and then later input into my performances.
I have to say, I loved watching your video on Instagram where you were talking about your journey to acting, facing rejection, but also like celebrating working hard and your overall journey and where it's gotten you. So, what kind of inspired you to post that? Because it's something that's like really nice to document, look back on.
So for me, I would say in a humble way that I think I'm a very humble person. Anything that has been given to me, I'm always thankful for that person, and I feel like I'm in debt to give them something in return to kind of return the favor. So I think around this time I had like some uprising 1,000 followers, which to me was like, holy cow, like that was insane because I only had like 200 followers that were just my friends and family from school. Um, and then the Black Phone was coming out, I think, a month later after that video. And I was like, I'm going to do a progress thing. I was like, I'm going to make a video real quick, talk about how I got here, why I'm doing this, and just kind of have a check of where I am and how I'm feeling. I also did that because there were a lot of people that wanted to learn more about me and see why I did what I did. So that was also a video to answer questions. But really, it was just it was really just a kind of a thank you to everyone for supporting me.
I think with that video, you're already inspiring young artists yourself. So hopefully in another year's time or something, you get to see where you're at. Let's get into the Black Phone and Vance. We don't get to see a montage, much of what his life looked like before being abducted, but I was wondering if you created a backstory for him or maybe spoke with your writers, directors, and what that looked like for Vance.
Yeah, so early on, Scott, he was very direct with either how tall I was. He kept saying over and over not to cut my hair. So I talked to him about his vision for Vance and kind of what he wanted, and he described to me, that Vance was this fairly young, angsty teen who had a lot of rage built up inside of him. He started to describe his appearance to me as a Robert Plant. So immediately when he said that, um, I knew that he wanted the long blonde hair, and he wanted the cutoffs to really come across as this really grungy type metalhead. Background wise, I took inspirations from characters that were extremely masculine characters. So, for instance, people like Rocky or Arnold in The Predator or Terminator, things, movies like those that really had an upbringing in my life. I thought that there would be some way to input that into my performance, along with knowing that I need to act like I'm a cool rock type of person. The background I had set up for Vance is that the reason he was the way he was is his home at life was fairly difficult. Maybe his dad was either not there for him or he wasn't supportive. Maybe he was fairly abusive. And so that creates a hair trigger sense of rage on Vance, of where this pinball machine could have been the only thing that he has in his heart that is like good for, like, oh, holy cow, I did this. I set this score. So when someone comes in and messes it up for him and takes away the only thing that he has, I think that's when he switches into a now you're going to pay for that.
I loved hearing that insight, so thank you for sharing. I think it makes a lot of sense, like maybe having that neglect at home, drives him to attach himself to something that he's good at and can be successful. You said that you listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin, AC/DC to get into character. What are some specific songs or records that you had on repeat?
Oh man. Yeah, I mean it extends beyond those bands, but Led Zeppelin, I would say their songs of Kashmir, Immigrant Song, Black Dog, just the song, a lot of their songs had those very upbeat guitar solos that I felt that that's exactly who Vance was. I believe Vance was the guy that would go home from school and instead of doing homework would play his guitar for hours. So songs like that from Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, you have your classic Back in Black, Riff Raft, Highway to Hell, those kinds of songs. So
Something nice is your father actually introduced you to a lot of this older rock and roll metal music. So is it nice to kind of share that with him where you're kind of revisiting music that you listened to growing up?
it is growing up literally from kindergarten till third grade, because that's when he used to take us to school. And then my mom started. Um, he would always play 80s on 8 on Sirius XM. That was his thing. So all these bands growing up, like anywhere from Madonna all the way to like Duran Duran. These were just songs that had a special place in my heart. And so rock just really connected with me. So still today, driving around with my dad or coming back from, lake trips, the only thing we play is rock. So it's a very sentimental thing to have.
So a large part of the Shadow Kids' presence is through their phone calls with Finny, so sound instead of a visual guide. Although we do see Vance throughout the film, for those phone call scenes, what did you focus on in your dialogue and your tone?
Yes. So taking a look at the appearance of the Ghost Kids, you can tell that there is a complete difference with Vance. Whether it be his hair or just the style in general. So I knew that I needed to do something that set him apart a little bit differently without overdoing it. So I talked with Scott on some ideas that I had, trying to either drop my register a little bit, not too much, like Batman, but just a little bit, and then add a little bit of grunge in there to sound like he's, this vicious, hard kind of guy. And that's what we ended up doing. So I love it in the film. I did it because our voices were much lighter than they were today. So yeah.
It's interesting to kind of hear that contrast and then mixed in with the distortion of the phone. And I really like how the voices still come through really clearly and you can hear the personalities. Do you imagine what happened to Vance during his time with the grabber? Like how long he lasted, how he met his end, anything like that?
So I think the time of Vance being kidnapped and staying alive is the amount of time that the grabber let him have. Because at the end of the day, the grabber had all the weapons that he wanted, and the only thing Vance had was, his fists. We see Vance talking about how the grabber had to repair all the damages. So I think that was both physical, either it being, broken bones that he did to the grabber or those kinds of things, or as we see in the film, how he knows the information to tell Finney to break into this wall because there's a freezer in the way. So I think both physical and damages to the house itself is what he was talking about.
Do you think that he like ended up punching through that wall and maybe made it kind of close to the other side?
I think he definitely I don't know if he would have used his fist because that probably would have like, broken some bones, but I think he found something in the room and then the grabber might have saw that and taken that out. That's why Finney used the back of the toilet seat. So I think that's what Vance did. Um, Other than that, I think Vance, put up a really good fight when the grabber was trying to catch him. I'm not sure how he captured him, but it's a mystery still today.
I think it's nice to kind of leave it up to interpretation, but I will have to say I'm not sure if he would have been as swayed by black balloons as some of the other kids. But I also feel like he'd be really bad at the naughty boy game because he's so impatient.
Very,
Um, yeah.
yes. I think Vance kind of came across as like a look, I don't care what you're saying. I'm going to get out of here whether you like it or not.
Now, what do you remember specifically from filming the pinball grab and go scene?
Oh man, I remember pulling up in the van that they had for me. Seeing all the vintage cars they had outside, all the camera rigs that they had. But when you went into the store, they took all the candy that was there and replaced it with all vintage types of candy. I remember some of them. I remember not all of it was real, but some of it still was. They replaced the soda cans and the refrigerators to the pull tabs that they had back then with the original logo. Um, and I remember seeing a huge difference between a pinball machine that they would have used back then to today's one because there was like nothing in that pinball machine. There might have been like five objects. And today, you have like these moving animated things. So um, other than that, I just remember the whole layout of the building, of everything was.
And you had your stunt double on set that day as well, Ben. So was it kind of cool to shadow him?
It was. Ben was, I mean, he was awesome to watch. Just seeing the amount of effort that he put into his work was definitely it was a great leadership that I had on set. Even pointers, if I did something, he'd come up to me and say, "Hey, when you throw your punch, maybe throw it a little bit higher for the camera." I was like, "Sweet, I did it." He'd come up to me, fist bump me, great job. He was fun to talk to. And he would just talk to me. I would just throw questions at him about other stuff that he's done. And so it was just a really good learning experience.
Was it interesting to have this event tied into Gwen's visions? And like, do you think there's any part of Vance's spirit that actually guided her to the address, or was it solely Gwen's powers?
I think it's a little bit of both. The reason being is I think Vance wanted to help out in the sense not to save Finney, but as a way to get back at the grabber. I think Vance had nothing but revenge in his heart to literally kill the grabber. So I think he led Gwen to there, kind of like finish the job.
When Vance is flying backwards into the void, you mentioned you were rigged with cables. when it pulled you back, you lost your breath. How many takes did you go through, and how sore was like your body, your rib cage after that?
Right. So I was so confused on the day what was going on. All they had was on the sheet was stunt day. So I get to my trailer and the costumes I had were different. They all had holes on the back of the costumes so they could, pull the cable through and attach it to me. So I had everything on. I went to set and I saw the our stunt doubles doing screen tests. And so I watched them just zip back and I was like, oh sweet, I get to do that. So Daniel Losacero, the stunt coordinator, he came up to me and said, "Hey, put this on. Make sure it's super tight." So I put it on. Started ripping the tabs as hard as I can. I was like, "All right, I think it's good." He comes up to me, checks it. Apparently, it needed to be very tight, so he like rips it like a lawnmower, and then I kind of was just like, "Oh shoot!" And so then they hooked me on. First take, I had no clue what we were doing. I didn't understand what it was going to be like. So yeah, that first pull back, I kind of lost some of my air. But I think we did around 10, 11 takes just to have an option and do a little picky things that Sky wanted to add in there. But yeah, I think after the first take, I knew how to embellish it and I was aware of what was going to happen.
You got the hang of it
Mhm.
pretty quickly. It didn't feel like now you're like, oh, this is what it's like wearing a corset or something like that when it's so tight
Exactly,
against your body. But
exactly
hey,
like that.
safety first, so it has to be kind of snug. You actually are interested in more stunt work, talking about Daniel. You were in California last year. You were doing some training with stuntmen, got to film some videos. So how was that experience?
That was probably one of my favorite summers I've ever had. Um, when we were on set filming after the fight scene, Daniel came up to me and said, "Hey, he's very complimentary of my skill. He goes, you have a lot of promise. Would you like to come out to LA and train with me?" And so I was kind of blown away because he is a professional. This dude is legit. I love watching his demo reel. And so I was kind of like, absolutely, yes. So that summer, we got in connection to him. So we flew out. We started with mat work with hand-to-hand combat. So learning how to throw punches, take punches, working on flips, those sorts of things. Then we worked on weapon combat, on how to use firearms or knives in a fighting sense. Maybe your gun doesn't work, so now you have to use it to, smack somebody with it. So that was very fun. The last day we did was rappelling down Point Doom at California Malibu Beach, and I think that was amazing. The view itself, the weather was perfect, and I'm just a big adrenaline junkie. So running down the side of a mountain like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible was fantastic.
That incline was insane. Like watching those angles. So no fear at all.
A little bit, but I knew I would be safe because there was a there was another dude who was doing rappelling with us, and he does it every day, is what he said. So he's on top of this mountain, shirtless, has his belt on, and instead of running down, he just jumps off and just flies straight down. His feet don't touch the mountain, and he catches himself at the bottom. And I thought it was the craziest thing. So seeing him do that kind of motivated me to, okay, if he can do it with no feet, I can do it walking. So that was kind of a little motivational boost.
Hopefully you get the chance to try more of the action combat work in the future. But in terms of Vance, take me through your hair and makeup routine on set, including those prosthetics that you were fitted for.
Yes. So day one, before we shot anything, we went to the makeup trailer and I had to get my hair cut and dyed blonde to match the hair extensions that they used. So that took a very long time. I think that was the longest time I was in the trailer. Because I had to wait for it to all come out and bleach and then rinse it, wash it. That was a long day. But after that, when we set up, it was very fast. I'd walk in on the days that I was alive. Makeup would just touch up my face because I didn't have any scars or anything. They'd attach the hair clips and I was out. Maybe 30 minutes to an hour at most. Now, when I was dead, I'd walk in, they'd put the hair on first, then they had a prosthetic nose piece that ran across the bridge of my nose to make it look broken. They added a fake gash in my ear to look like it'd been slit. I know I had a forehead piece you can't really see in the film, but that was like dripping blood on the side. I had a prosthetic piece on the side of my neck. They had this kind of an athletic type of clothing um, that was elastic on both sides that they put along my around my torso, and that's how they glued the prosthetics against the material, so the gashes would stick out of the costume. Then the only thing they did other than that was spray paint my face, my neck, my arms, so it looked like I was dead. And then, more makeup work of just throwing blood on there, throwing some knife marks, and that was pretty much it.
Did it ever alarm you how real it looked when they were finished with you?
Yes, it did. I went to Wilmington last month, think it was, and I visited the guys again just to pop in and say hello. And still to this day, we talk about how some of the things that they did were just unbelievable. Because with like a single, I think it was like it looked like a scalpel, but obviously it wasn't a scalpel. On my forearms, they would just do these quick lines, and it would literally look 3D. And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen to see how simple it was, but seeing how they are so professional, they make all these things look extreme. So, yeah, we still talk about that to this day. It was a very cool experience.
Yeah, and obviously learning about these techniques that you won't always get the opportunity to do in all of your roles, like prosthetics. Now, what was your impression of the Grabber as a movie villain? So you can feel free to comment on both Ethan's performance, but also how creepy that mask was.
Yes, of course. First off, Ethan's performance was, I mean, it was fantastic. There's nothing short of perfection there. He was absolutely terrifying. We got to work with him one day. It hasn't been released yet. I don't know if they will release it, so I'll keep my mouth shut about it then. But he did a scene where he was doing something and then he screamed, and that blood curdling scream and how fast he got into character was terrifying on its own. I remember having chills whenever he'd scream of how like real and like how desperate he sounded. Other than that, I saw the mask only a couple times. I remember when they brought it out the first time, I got to see I think it was the frowny face one. And that was just, seeing that, I was like, if that happened to me in real life, I would not be able to pull myself together. It looks terrifying. And it looks terrifying in the movie. So seeing it in person gives it a whole different, sense of realness.
The fact that it's in multiple pieces adds this like additional element, multi-dimensional, that it changes with his moods. Did
Mhm.
you personally get to take anything from set?
Um, I have the jacket that Vance wore when he's dead, the black jacket. So it still has all the cuts and tears and blood marks on it. So it's just a really cool memento to have.
Nothing like some dried blood on on the clothing that you take home. I thought that the missing poster would be a nice one to kind of frame.
I didn't get it. I didn't see those. I didn't see those around. If I saw it, I would have asked to take one home with me, but I'd have never come across them.
I think Jacob said the same thing. And I'm like, I think people have kind of zoomed in that there has to be some way for you to find a copy, even if it's just online and printed out. What did you learn from watching your director, Scott Derrickson, both work behind the camera, but also how he interacted with the cast and crew?
I mean, Scott is such a leader behind the camera, whether it's to his crew or it's to his cast that he's working with. He's very inspirational to watch, seeing his work ethic and how much he cares about the projects that he's doing. He's a very good coach too. If he doesn't like something, he'll come up. He's honest to you, but he'll come up and say, "Hey, could you fix this? Fix this when you have this moment. Just do this real quick." Very little technical things, and he knows what he wants. So when he has the take, he's ready to move on because in his mind he goes, "That's it. I know what I want. That's it." So seeing the amount of how professional he is on set is a really big inspiration for filmmakers anywhere.
Do you remember what it was like watching the final cut of The Black Phone for the first time at the premiere? What were your thoughts about that?
So I think, well, it was basically everybody's first movie, all the kids. I know everyone, it was everyone's first time out of the kids besides Mason and Maddie. So being together at the premiere it was really surreal. Seeing that other people cared about something that we put together it was a very good, it was a very nice gift to have, some sort of accomplishment. It was very nice. When we went in to watch it, it was um, it was weird seeing myself up there because it was a dream that I've had for 5 years that finally has come true. So watching our performance and seeing how we could change into these different characters that are very different from ourselves, it was really, really cool to see. And it was something I'll never forget.
And it was nice to share that moment not only with the cast and crew, but also I'm sure your family who is all there
Oh,
to support you. What can you say about your friends, co-stars Mason and Adeline and their work in the film as Finney and Gwen?
I think their performance was absolutely amazing. One scene that stood out to me was the kitchen scene with James and Maddie when she's just screaming because she's hitting her, and her performance of her crying and screaming out I thought was Oscar worthy. And every time she'll post something about it, I'll just tell her, you know, let me know when you get that Oscar. But I think her performance of being this little sister that's very protective of her brother, kind of wears the shoes in that brother sistership, I think was really cool to see, along with um, along with Mason's performance of Finney with his vulnerability that he shows in the film. I think was really something that everyone could take away and be inspired from.
Those dynamics work so well as siblings. Now, this young cast, like yourself included, so remarkable with the screen time that you were given.
Thank
You
you.
filmed this early 2021. Like you mentioned before, a lot of you are kind of new to this, new to like film and TV and a big project. So, what are some of your favorite memories from behind the scenes, getting to know one another?
Behind the scenes, I think we really lucked out with the relationships that we have with each other. Being on different sets. Other than that, it's really something that you don't see anymore. I remember the Ghost Kids, me, Tristan, Mikey, and Jacob, and Banks. We would all go to dinner with each other every night. Whether it was at a live music restaurant or if it was a bar that we had right down the road that we would walk to. It was just little things that meant the most to us. Like, for instance, Tristan's dad was the person that got me to try oysters for the first time. It was disgusting, but it's always something that I'll remember. We went to the beach a couple times. I remember we flew Jacob's drone that he had. So there is some footage of us, driving the drone around, which was really cool. But just spending that quality time together, whether it was out and about or playing video games in Tristan's room, it was just a really sentimental thing to have.
What were you doing with that drone? Was it just like flying above, or you trying to get
So
it by the water?
he was showing us this footage he has of, like, if he's wakeboarding on his boat, he'll fly the drone around. It's just like this really beautiful scenery footage that he had. So that's what we did. So we were flying it over restaurants, over the ocean. Then it transformed into, we knew our parents were somewhere, so we started flying it around them, seeing if they were going to pick up that it was us watching them. Well, it was really funny.
That is kind of funny, like a spy tactic kind of
Exactly.
thing. Yeah. Let's talk about fan support for the Black Phone. It's been unbelievable. What have been some messages that you've received, things you've seen online, and what has that meant to you?
I mean, the support that I have is unbelievable. I think we're almost at 450,000, I believe, today, which is, I mean, that is crazy to me, knowing that that huge amount of number is people that, care about our work enough to follow us and stay to date with the things we're doing. Messages and videos that fans send me every day is also something that really keeps me humble, knowing why I started this journey to inspire other people, or getting messages and talking to fans about how to start acting and just help them with things that they need. It's a great way to just help the community. Kind of they gave us this experience, so we're gonna try to help them back as much as possible. But seeing these inspirational messages that they'll send us about how we're an inspiration to someone, which still drives me crazy because I feel like I'm just a normal kid. So being called an inspiration is a huge compliment, and we're all very thankful.
Now, this is at Hepner. Comfort on Twitter, and they're looking for a fandom name. I'm not sure if you've ever, I didn't send this one to you, so I'll just read you
Oh,
that
okay.
they ended up coming up with, I think the highest voted one was the Brady Bunch.
I saw this. I've actually seen this though. I saw this on Twitter. They replied to I was tagged in a comment section. And I saw that. And I don't know what they want me to do with that, quite honestly. I mean,
They want you to
like
give them the
call them the
official
Brady.
name.
Hey, if you guys are watching this, the Brady Bunch can be the official name. I'll let y'all have it. Do whatever you want with it. Run with it.
The other options, I'm not sure, well, maybe you've seen it, was Bragels, like bagels. I
Like
thought that
that's
was a kind
creative.
of cute one.
That's
Yeah, it's creative.
yeah.
Hep Nation
I like that one. Hep Nation's a good one. That's cool.
and Hepness.
Hepness. Hep Nation might be my favorite. But hey, if Brady Bunch won the vote, then we got to stay with it.
It says, reminder that we'll be using this name until Brady says what he thinks of this one or gives us an official name. So I think you said you can roll with anything, but you
Roll
said
with
you do
anything.
really like the Brady Bunch or Hep Nation. So
If Brady Bunch has the most amount of votes, then Brady Bunch is the official name.
I think it's and you mentioned, you're so humble, so it's so crazy to think that people are trying to come up with names for your fandom, but here we are.
Yeah, it's wild. What really hit me was I started getting tagged in videos of people dressing up as Vance, which to know that someone on Halloween will be Vance Hopper is crazy to me. I think that is a huge compliment to myself, but I mean, thank you to whoever's doing that. I appreciate it.
And the fact that, people are going out buying wigs, buying the cut-off denim vests as well. So
Exactly.
they're fully invested in your character. We're going to go through some tweets now. So if you could bring them up.
All right. So the first tweet I have here is by Norma or at, I think it's Vansler, I'm seeing. It says, I want to see Brady Hepner and Dacre Montgomery in a horror movie together. I'm always down to work with Dacre. He's one of my inspirations for Vance Hopper. I've kind of based him a little bit with Billy Hargrove's attitude. So seeing him in other things like Power Rangers was the first movie I saw him in. And so, I mean, his work is absolutely fantastic. So, hey, if Dacre sees this, I'm ready to rock and roll.
I was gonna say, I know it's some of the hair talking, but have you either connected or reached out at all?
I mean, I wish, but I mean, I don't know. I don't want to come across as like weird. That's just a fear I have. Like if I work with him one day, fantastic, but I don't ever want to reach out like, "Hey man, you want to go hang out sometimes?" Cuz that's just I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit weird for me to say.
You are too humble though, because I think like it means something. I'm sure that you took some inspiration from him and his work in Stranger Things, and I think you did such a good job like merging all these different characters together for Vance. So I hope that you get the opportunity to work together one day.
We'll see. We have time. Number 2 we have is Mateo, I think, which is at Vansler, all caps this time, crying real tears because I'm not Brady Hepner. Don't cry. First off, there's no need to cry about me. I being me is I don't know. I think I'm just a regular kid. I don't think there's really anything that special about me other than the profession that I chose is showcased in front of a whole bunch of people. So Mateo, however you say your name. I'm sure you're a lovely person yourself. Just be you, honestly. That's all I can say. Be you, do what you want, and live life. Have fun. We have from Robin at Drawing Interest. Still haven't seen the black phone yet, but this guy Vance looks so cool. I had to try drawing him. It's actually a very good drawing. That is very impressive. That's the art that I've seen is fantastic to everyone doing this. So thank you so much. It doesn't go unrecognized. I love it all. Um, First off, I think you should watch the Black Phone if you're already drawing Vance Hopper. I think that's a must that you have to do. But thank you for the art. I really appreciate that. It looks phenomenal. Number 4, from Comet at Comet Landing. Brance is in game. I say into the mic, the crowd boos. I begin to walk off in shame. No, they're right, says a voice in the back of the room. The lights turn on. It's Brady Hepner and Tristan Provong. Oh man, Tristan, man, I'm sorry. I started that whole movement as a joke one day on one of Tristan's TikToks. I just put the word Brants together, merging the names, and there has been an explosion of this fandom. So I don't know. I think it's really funny to see some of the things, especially this tweet. I think this tweet's hilarious, but yeah, there you go. That's a little bit of what I have to go through. I think it's awesome.
Now, you two shared very minimal screen time together. There's like a split second, but it's a pairing that people love to talk about. Um, like, what are your thoughts on that? Opposites attract?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, if that's what everyone's saying, then I mean, I guess you have to call it canon. I know Tristan and I have talked about this before. We both think it's pretty funny to see everyone run with us this fandom, but at the end of the day, it's cool that people do it. I think it's funny. It gives some people to do.
Yes, exactly. It's something that people talk about, keeps people engaged. I think that Bruce is so chill from what we've seen, and Vance is not chill. So
Yeah, not at all.
So I think I was like going down this rabbit hole looking through tweets about brands, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much even fan art just dedicated to them. But speaking about Halloween, you mentioned you love Halloween. Haunted House of the Black Phone. A couple of your co-stars have gone. I know you'll be going soon. Are you have high expectations? Have people told you what it's all about?
I've heard no news from it. The only thing I saw was I probably should have waited, but I looked up a video on YouTube, kind of like a POV of what it was going to be like. And to my surprise, someone in there is dressed up as Vance. And I thought that was crazy that Universal's taking money to have someone come work as Vance Hopper. So I'm excited for it. I know Tristan and Jacob are. Um, I just hope that it'll be open because Hurricane Ian. So anyone in Florida or who's affected by it, please stay safe. It's really sad to see all the devastation going, but if it's open, it's open. If it's not, there's always next year.
Yeah, for sure. And are you typically really good with haunted houses?
I love them. I love them. I rarely get scared just because that I love those environments. I've already been to two different locations around where I live. I love watching my friends get scared. Um, it's just a fun experience to go with your friends and get scared. I like being scared. That's why I like horror. That's why I like horror. That's why I like Halloween. So yeah, haunted houses are very fun.
If it doesn't happen this year, I was gonna say you and your co-star should definitely be dressing up as your characters in the film and do your own haunted house. And how crazy would that be? I feel like that has to happen. That would be fun.
That would be fun. I think it would, but also I don't want to cause, chaos. That's one thing I don't want to happen. I don't want, a whole bunch of people showing up and they're going crazy over everything. But I don't know. I mean, I'd love to go do something in public one day where I get to meet a whole bunch of fans, but we'll see.
You have met some fans here and there at some other kind of parks, places that you've been to back at home. So what has that reception been like, actually meeting some of these people in person?
Being recognized itself is its own thing. Because I don't expect it. I was this kid who had blood all over his face and a big blonde mullet. So I wasn't expecting anything, but we walked into the park in less than a minute. Some girl came running up to us, asking if I could have a picture with her. And her mom was there to take the picture. She was very respectful. She was very kind. But yeah, all through the night, I got to meet tons of fans, and it's really cool to talk with them because they have a whole bunch of questions that they want answered, and I get to answer some of those for them. So it's really cool to kind of give back.
Hometown hero status. I'll put that out there. Now you are trying to learn the guitar. You did post
And
some clips on TikTok, Zach Bryan's Something in the Orange. Just before this interview, you posted another one, Post
I
Malone.
did.
It's sounding good. What inspired you to pick up the guitar and want to learn?
So the guitar's always fascinated me. with my background in rock music and just hearing people like Van Halen and Eruption just shred the entire time. And I think I've always thought about doing it, but I've never had the commitment. I know Jacob is definitely someone that inspired me to do it. He actually beat me to a video that he made. He did the Hotel California solo, and I was working on it, and we had no clue. And he posted it, and I was like, "Dang it!" So I'm still working on that one. Yeah, Jacob's an inspiration. Mikey's also an inspiration. But yeah, I just think music itself inspires me to play.
Can we expect singing as well in the future? Are you focused on just the instrument for now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't think like I know I have good pitch. It's just a fear of mine. Like the first time posting about playing guitar, I was pretty scared about that because I didn't know if people were just gonna be like, you suck. And I was like, oh well. But I mean, I don't know. I still have to learn the guitar a lot better first. I'm only a month in, so we'll see how that journey goes.
Like a never say never. You never know unless you try,
Never,
kind of thing.
never exactly.
Are there any upcoming projects that you can share?
Oh man, not that I can share of. There's one movie coming out end of next year. I can't talk about that one yet, but that'll be a very special project to talk about. What else? There have been a couple photo shoots. The companies have had me out to model for them, which has been a crazy experience on its own. Total different workforce. I can't share those. I thought they would let me post about who I was working for, but they said not till the person who's running the magazines give me the go ahead. So I have to wait for those. Um, there are a couple projects that I'm waiting back for that I'm in the final round for. So we'll see. I'm expecting at least one or two more projects out of these few that I'm waiting for callbacks. So it's just a waiting game.
As it is in the industry, I'm sure it's always like, oh, I can't share this until a certain time, but it's good to know that you're staying busy and creative. I have one more question for your signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Chocolate. It's the best. It's the best. You can't. It's classic. It's an original choice. You can't beat chocolate. I mean, vanilla. It's vanilla. I mean, it's a solid pick, but I mean, it's nothing special. Strawberry's a close second. And I think my third pick out of my top three would be mint chocolate chip. So those are my top three. Chocolate, it's classic. You can never go wrong with it. That's why I think it's the best.
Or even better, a mixture of all three of those
You know,
flavors.
I will say I only like vanilla when it's Neapolitan style. That's the best. But no, yeah, I love ice cream.
Do you have a favorite brand? We'll plug your favorite brand or ice cream shop where you go back home.
I mean, geez, I don't know if I go to like Food Line or something. I'm just probably gonna get like is it Briars or something? I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
from the grocery store. I
let me
feel
see.
like it's like the classic though, like you mentioned. It doesn't have to be super fancy, right? It's just
Fancy. It's just if I get home, if I'm at home and it's late and I want to watch a movie, just go to the deep freezer, get some ice cream, and watch a movie. It's classic.
that's the perfect way to end things off. I'd like to thank you so much, Brady, for taking the time to chat.
Thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
Make sure to catch Brady in the Black Phone. It is out now on DVD and video on demand. A lot more coming soon, and we will see you next time.